These are two of the Netherlands' biggest cities, but they couldn't feel more different. One gives you canals, historic houses and an image recognized around the world. The other gives you skyscrapers, experimental architecture and a completely different side of Dutch life. Amsterdam or Rotterdam? If you only have time for one, which should you actually visit? I thought the answer was obvious. It wasn't. Let's start with Amsterdam. Walk out into central Amsterdam and the city immediately gives you what you came for. Canals, narrow historic buildings, bicycles everywhere, bridges, beautiful streets. Even if it's your first visit, somehow it already feels familiar. And that's Amsterdam's greatest strength. But it's also part of its biggest weakness, because everybody else wants to experience it too. Now arrive in Rotterdam, and the feeling changes completely. This doesn't look like the Netherlands most tourists imagine. Modern towers, wide streets, bold architecture, a skyline that can almost make you forget Amsterdam is less than an hour away by fast train. So for first impressions, Amsterdam gives you the Netherlands you've imagined. Rotterdam gives you the Netherlands you probably haven't. If we're talking about traditional beauty, this one seems easy. Amsterdam is difficult to beat. Walk beside the canals early in the morning or around sunset and you'll understand why millions of people want to photograph this city. There are postcard views almost everywhere. Rotterdam isn't beautiful in the same way. A huge part of the city was destroyed during World War II, and Rotterdam rebuilt itself differently. Instead of recreating the past, it embraced modern architecture. That's why you'll see places like the cube houses, Erasmus Bridge, and buildings that look completely different from traditional Dutch architecture. Amsterdam makes you admire history. Rotterdam makes you look at what came after it. Which is better depends on what you consider beautiful. Now we need to talk about something that can completely change your experience. Crowds. Amsterdam is one of Europe's most visited cities, and in the busiest parts of the center, you feel it. You can still find quieter neighborhoods, of course. But if you're visiting the major sites during peak season, don't expect to have Amsterdam to yourself. Rotterdam feels different. There are tourists, but tourism doesn't dominate every street, and that changes how you experience the city. You have more moments where you're simply walking through a Dutch city rather than moving with a stream of visitors. For me, that's a major advantage. But Amsterdam has something Rotterdam simply cannot replace. So, Amsterdam has an enormous advantage when it comes to famous attractions. We're talking museums, historic houses, canal cruises, and, neighborhoods you've probably heard about before you've even arrived. You can easily fill several days here, no problem. Now, Rotterdam's attractions are a bit different. You're looking at architecture, the Markthal, the cube houses, the waterfront, Erasmus Bridge, and these really modern neighborhoods. And honestly, one of the best parts is just seeing how dramatically different the city looks from the rest of the country. If this is your first ever trip to the Netherlands, Amsterdam probably offers more of those classic bucket list experiences. But if you've already seen Europe's famous historic capitals, Rotterdam can feel really refreshing. And that brings us to something tourists don't always consider before choosing a city. Travel isn't only about attractions. Sometimes you remember a city because of how comfortable you felt just being there. Amsterdam can be magical for sure, but it can also be intense. Bicycles flying past you, busy sidewalks, tour groups, packed areas around major attractions. There's energy everywhere. Rotterdam, on the other hand, feels more spacious, more modern, and, more relaxed in certain areas. You can just sit somewhere, look at the skyline, and feel like the city is continuing with its normal life all around you. Amsterdam often feels like an experience, while Rotterdam can feel more like a city you're temporarily living in. And, depending on how you travel, that difference matters a lot. Both cities give you plenty of opportunities to try Dutch food and international cuisine. But Amsterdam's popularity comes with a price. Stay, eat or drink in the most tourist-heavy parts of the center, and your budget can disappear surprisingly quickly. Rotterdam isn't necessarily cheap. This is still the Netherlands. But you may find that you have more options away from areas designed almost entirely around tourists. And Rotterdam's multicultural population also gives the food scene another dimension. So if budget matters, don't just compare hotel prices. Think about what you'll spend throughout the entire day. Accommodation, coffee, meals, attractions, transport. Those smaller costs add up. At this point, I thought I knew which city I would recommend. Then I realized I'd been asking the wrong question. There isn't really one winner, because Amsterdam and Rotterdam are good at completely different things. If you've never visited the Netherlands before and you want the experience you've imagined for years, Amsterdam is difficult to replace. Those canals and historic streets are famous for a reason. But if you've already done Amsterdam, or you're tired of destinations where tourism seems to control the center, Rotterdam becomes much more interesting. And that's what changed my answer. So if I had to choose, for a first trip to the Netherlands, I'd choose Amsterdam. But for travelers who have already seen the classic European capitals and want something less obvious, I'd choose Rotterdam. Not because Rotterdam is more beautiful, and not because Amsterdam is overrated. They're simply offering two completely different versions of the Netherlands. Amsterdam shows you the country many travelers came expecting to see. Rotterdam shows you what happens when you look beyond that image. And ideally, don't choose. The cities are close enough that if your schedule allows it, experience both. Because seeing them together actually makes each one more interesting. Now I'm curious. If you could only choose one, Amsterdam or Rotterdam? Tell me in the comments, and tell me why. And if you enjoy discovering both the famous side of Europe and the places people often overlook, subscribe to Far and Beyond. There's a lot more of Europe we haven't looked at yet.